What's going on, everyone? So, obviously, the Lakers need a center. Just want to say that, get that out the way, because anytime I talk about anything other than a center, people always are like, but we need a center. Look, we can sign a center and still have flexibility with the 15th spot. So, get it out the way. Yes, the Lakers need a center. But what do they need with the 15th spot? What direction should they go? Now, obviously, they could go and get another free agent. Maybe they go get another center. Maybe they go get a young project guy that they want to bring in that they kind of like. Maybe they go get that vet that can come in and be a locker room presence. Or the possibility is one of the two-way guys. Now, I'm leaving Alex Fudge off on this list because I don't believe he's anywhere close to being ready to actually be on the main roster. Now, I do think that he will get some burn here and there randomly on a two-way contract. And so outside of that, you have Colin Castleton and you have D'Moi Hodge. Both guys I think you can make a legitimate argument for to actually make the 15th roster spot, right? Colin Castleton gives you another big guy that has some size, some versatility, a guy that you can even run your offense through. He is a guy that I do believe if you played him, say, 10 minutes a game, I think he is talented enough to go in there and not mess things up, right? Like, you're not going to expect him to completely take over games and just dominate and be, baby Jokic out there. You're not expecting anything like that. But for him to just kind of plug in, need you for a couple minutes, don't mess up, I think he can do that, right? He's going to have his blunders, he's going to have his rough moments, but that comes with the territory, right? The other guy is D'Moi Hodge. And D'Moi Hodge is, in my opinion, the most ready, you could give D'Moi Hodge 15 minutes a game, and I think he'd be fine. Because he's a little older, he's a little more mature, and his game and what he is best at is exactly what the Lakers would want from him. Play defense, hard nose, get after it, sacrifice your body, do the dirty work, right? Hit the three ball. When you're open, knock it down, right? Everything he is great at. He's not going to be asked to do anything crazy. We're calling Castleton playing the center position. He's going to have to go up against other centers. He's going to have to deal with bigger bodies. He's going to have to deal with guys targeting him and trying to, draw contact on him. He's going to have to protect the rim. He's going to have to do a lot of things, right? He's going to have to be a floor running big. It's a lot tougher. Where D'Moi Hodge, he's out there, guard the guy in front of you, the best to your ability, and hit the open shot. That's it, right? Don't get too cute. Don't get too carried away. So D'Moi Hodge, I think, is the guy that makes the most sense to bring up with the 15th roster spot. Now, my biggest concern is you bring in D'Moi Hodge or even Colin Castleton. Again, love to hear your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. But let's stick with D'Moi Hodge because it's kind of where this video is heading. So D'Moi Hodge, you bring him in, and then some quality piece on the buyout market becomes available that you really like that could make a real impact on this Lakers roster. Maybe it's even another center, right? That is more adequate than the guys we got, right? Well, now you basically don't have a way of getting him because you're going to have everyone else on guaranteed deals. And D'Moi Hodge, do you really want to risk waiving him to bring in another guy? No, you don't want to lose D'Moi Hodge. So to me, that's the biggest thing as far as not the argument for not bringing the two-way guys up, if I'm being honest. But outside of that, I think that there is a real argument to bring D'Moi Hodge into the fold, right? He's a guy that I really think could come in, hold his own, and have an impact. You're not going to lean heavily on him, right? You're not going to be asking him to play 30-plus minutes a game and being a huge fixture. No, you're asking him to just kind of come in. Now, I'm not saying the Lakers should even take him off of a two-way or anything like that. It's not what I'm saying. But you got to fill the 15th roster spot, and you could go and bring somebody else in, or you could bring him in and then maybe sign some other young guy that you like to a two-way deal. That's something that could definitely happen, like how Alex Fudge, they waived Cole Schweider and brought in Alex Fudge. Well, if you bring in D'Moi Hodge, maybe Figueroa or Ba or something like that. You got these guys out there that the Lakers seem to really like that you could maybe bring in and kind of have a nice little look at, right? Or maybe you put Scottie Pippen Jr. on a two-way or something, just so you don't risk losing him if you still like him. Again, flexibility there. But as far as D'Moi actually playing and getting minutes. He's probably not going to play a ton, but out of all the positions, center and shooting guard are the ones that look the thinnest, right? You got plenty of size out on the perimeter, right? You got plenty of threes and fours. Now, the 2 spot isn't so thin. It's like, what do you do, right? Like, you have to go get a shooting guard ASAP. No, it's not like that, right? You have Austin Reeves, you have Max Christie, you have like Torian Prince and Cam Reddish who could play the 2 if you need to. D'Lo, he could shift over and move over and play the 2. He's good off the ball, can shoot the ball well. You could even, if you absolutely had to, put Gabe Vincent over with his ability to be a 3-and-D guy. He'd be a little undersized, but in a pinch, if you had to, that's an option you have. You also have, Shafino, and you have Maxwell Lewis. Now, those guys, again, try not to rely on too heavily, but if you want to just stick to positions, right? D'Lo, point guard, Reeves, shooting guard, Christie, shooting guard, Gabe Vincent, point guard, and then all of the perimeter guys being the perimeter guys, right? And then you have Shafino as the 3rd point guard. Okay, perfect, right? Then it does make sense to bring in Hodge and have him kind of be the 3rd shooting guard. And he's a guy that 6'4", has got good wingspan, good length, good versatility, good shooting. A guy that has been 40+% everywhere he's been shooting the basketball. And so, not saying he's going to come into the NBA and be a 40% three-point shooter. It's not unlikely, right? But if he can even just be serviceable, 37, 38%, something like that, that's still very good, right? And that's still a guy that can make a real impact and be a player in a pinch, in a spot. And just his defense, you saw his ability to really get after it on the defensive end. He had some really great moments defensively. And him being older carries that maturity. And you can see that maturity translate when he's on the court, right? He doesn't do anything that's really out of his element unless he's in a position where he has to, shot clock winding down, something like that. He tries to take good shots. He, moves the ball, plays defense, gets after it. I've made the comparison before. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, KCP. He's KCP 2.0. If you don't think that that's a good comparison, well, D'Moi Hodge said the same thing, that he modeled his game after KCP. And he does. They have similar type shots, similar mechanics, similar everything, right? They're very similar players. And even KCP wasn't the KCP 2-time NBA championship KCP we know and love, right? KCP was solid in Detroit, but he was, again, very raw. A lot of question marks with, like, how good is he going to be? He's just a backup guy, at best. He's playing, on a bad team. There was a lot of conversation about him just kind of being a guy, right? And then the Lakers brought him in and molded him and shaped him into that legit starting level shooting guard, 3-and-D guy that you could have and win an NBA championship with. The Lakers did it, and the Denver Nuggets just did it. And D'Moi Hodge could be that guy that the Lakers kind of take in and do and follow the same trajectory. A guy, I don't think he'll ever be the starting shooting guard just because Max Christie's on the roster, and Max Christie looks like he might end up being the real deal. And you also have Austin Reeves, but they're looking at maybe potentially moving Austin Reeves to the point guard position at some point. They want him to kind of develop more as a playmaker. And so if that happens, I could see him being the starting point. You'd have Christie at the 2. You'd have Shafino at the backup point guard role. And then maybe that's where D'Moi Hodge comes in and can kind of be the backup 2 behind Max Christie. This, again, would be later on down the road. You still have Gabe Vincent for 3 years and stuff like that. You still have other guys that you got to get past and stuff. But I do think it's very possible that we have in 3 years or whatever, a roster of Austin Reeves, Max Christie, Jared Vanderbilt, Rui Hachimura, Anthony Davis. Backups would be, Shafino, Hodge, right? Hopefully you can keep Cam Reddish, so that way you have Cam Reddish somewhere in that department. Maxwell Lewis, Colin Castleton. That would be great, right? And then Alex Fudge, guys like that. And then now you start getting into like the in-depth part of the roster, and it's like, dude, the Lakers are, nine, 10 guys deep still, and still very good and still very talented, and guys have experience. And, Max Christie is coming into his own, and Austin Reeves is still him. And, Rui is now in a starting role and more comfortable and has more responsibility, and he's 20 plus point a game night. And Jared Vanderbilt has a quality shot. And now it's like, wow, the Lakers are really good defensively, really good offensively. Like, that's the hope, right? So I don't mind the idea of bringing in Hodge. I like it, outside of like the fear of, that means the Lakers end up missing out on something in the buyout when you could just keep them on a two-way. But what do you think? Again, just kind of conversation. Would you bring Hodge in that 15th spot? Do you think no? Don't do that. Have a feel, whatever your thoughts are. Love to hear it. Let me know.